The Grand Chamber was the largest building ever made. It floated in space at the center of the galaxy, and inside it, 347 different alien species came together to make decisions. The ceiling was so high that clouds formed inside. The walls were covered with gold and jewels from 1,000 worlds. Everything about this place was designed to make visitors feel small. Felt very small indeed. He stood at the human delegation podium, which was placed at the lowest level of the chamber. All around him, alien representatives sat on platforms that rose higher and higher, like a mountain of seats. They looked down at him with many different eyes. Some had 2 eyes like humans. Some had 12. Some had none at all and saw with other senses. But they all looked at him the same way. They looked at him like he was an insect. Was 53 years old. His black hair was turning gray at the sides. He wore a simple dark suit, the kind that Earth diplomats always wore. His face showed nothing. No fear, no anger, no worry, just calm like a pond without wind. He had practiced that face for 30 years. High Arbiter sat at the highest platform of all, was ancient even by alien standards. His body was tall and thin, covered in blue scales that had faded with age. His eyes were yellow and cold like a snake watching a mouse. He had led the Galactic Council for over 200 years. In all that time, he had never lost. Raised one long arm, and the chamber fell silent. "We are gathered today for a matter of grave importance," said. His voice was deep and echoed through the chamber. "The species known as humans from the planet called Earth has broken the laws of this council." Did not move. He had known this moment would come. They had all known. For 89 years they had known. "The charges are as follows," continued. "First, illegal expansion beyond permitted boundaries. The humans have built colonies in systems that were not given to them." This was a lie. Earth had built those colonies in empty systems that nobody wanted, but had decided those systems now belonged to the Council. Second, refusal to surrender military vessels for inspection. The humans have hidden ships from our observers. This was true, but would never tell them why. Third, suspected technological violations. The humans may possess weapons that are forbidden by Council law. Also true, but again stayed silent. Looked down at the human diplomat. A small smile crossed his scaled face. How do the humans answer these charges? Spoke for the first time. His voice was calm and clear. "Earth denies these charges. We have done nothing wrong." Laughter filled the chamber. It came from hundreds of throats in hundreds of different sounds. Some species clicked. Some whistled. Some made noises that hurt human ears, but they were all laughing at the same thing. They were laughing at humanity. Ambassador did not laugh. She sat 3 levels above the human platform, watching carefully. Belonged to a species that looked almost human, except for the purple tint of her skin and the slight points of her ears. She had dealt with humans before. She had studied them. Something was wrong, she could feel it. The human should be afraid. His planet was about to be destroyed. His people were about to become slaves, but stood there like a man waiting for a bus. His eyes were calm, his hands did not shake. Why was he not afraid? "The Council will now vote," announced. "All those in favor of declaring war on the human species." One by one, the species voted. The numbers appeared on giant screens around the chamber. Yes, yes, yes. 342 species voted to destroy humanity. Only 5 chose not to vote at all. None voted against. The result was displayed in letters 3 meters tall. War approved. "Humanity has 7 rotations to surrender unconditionally," declared. "If they do not, the Council Armada will reduce their planet to dust. Their colonies will be destroyed. Their people will be scattered across the galaxy as servants and laborers. This is the fate of those who defy the Council." He looked down at, expecting to see despair, expecting to see begging, perhaps even tears. Instead, he saw straight in his tie. Then the human smiled. It was not a nervous smile. It was not a fake smile. It was the smile of a man who had been waiting a very long time for this exact moment. Ambassador felt ice in her stomach. She had seen predators smile like that just before they killed. "The United Earth government officially rejects your ultimatum," said. His voice was still calm, but now there was something underneath it, something that had been hidden for 89 years. "We accept your declaration of war." The laughter stopped. Silence filled the chamber. Complete silence. 347 species stared at the small human in his simple suit. Nobody had ever done this before. Nobody had ever accepted war against the entire galaxy. "You are insane," said slowly. "You have perhaps 200 ships. We have 400,000. Your species will be erased from existence." Smile grew wider. "You know, High Arbiter, there is an old saying on Earth, 'Do not wake a sleeping dragon.'" "What is a dragon?" someone asked. "You will find out soon enough." Turned and walked toward the exit. His footsteps echoed in the silent chamber. Every eye followed him. Every sensor tracked him. Ambassador stood up. "High Arbiter, I request permission to speak." Said he was still staring at the door where had disappeared. "The matter is settled." "But something is wrong," insisted. The human was not afraid. Why was he not afraid? "We should investigate before we attack." "Because he is insane," replied. "Or stupid. It does not matter. In 7 rotations there will be no more humans to worry about." Outside the grand chamber walked quickly through the corridors. His heart was beating fast now, but his face still showed nothing. Walls had ears. Cameras were everywhere. He reached his private shuttle and stepped inside. Only when the door closed did he allow himself to breathe. Then he activated his communicator. "Admiral," he said, "it is done. They declared war." A voice came back, rough and ready. "Understood. What are your orders?" Looked out the window at the grand chamber. That massive station full of creatures who thought they ruled the galaxy, who thought humanity was weak, who thought this would be easy. "Wake them up," said softly. "Wake them all up. Project Horizon is now active. It is finally time." He ended the communication and sat back in his seat. His hands were shaking now, not from fear, from excitement. For 89 years, humanity had played the fool. They had bowed. They had scraped. They had accepted every insult, every humiliation, every cruelty. They had let the galaxy believe they were sheep. The galaxy was about to learn that sheep can become wolves. And wolves are very, very hungry after waiting so long. Deep beneath the Himalayan mountains, there was a city that did not exist on any map. It was called Earth Command, and it had been built in secret over 60 years. The tunnels went down 5 kilometers into the rock. The walls were made of materials that no scanner could see through. 100,000 people lived and worked there, and the rest of the world had no idea. Dr. Park stood in the main control room, watching screens that showed news from around the planet. People were panicking. The Council's declaration of war had been broadcast everywhere. Citizens were running through streets. Governments were making emergency announcements. Everyone thought the world was about to end. Was 45 years old, with short black hair and tired eyes. She had spent her entire adult life working on Project Horizon. She had missed birthdays, weddings, and funerals. She had given everything to this moment. Now it was time to tell the truth. "Dr. Park," said a young officer, "all global networks are ready. We can broadcast whenever you give the order." Nodded, she looked at her hands. They were steady. "Good." "Begin the broadcast." On every television, every phone, every computer screen on Earth, the same message appeared. Dr. Park's face filled billions of screens. Behind her, people could see the massive control room of Earth Command, a place nobody knew existed. "Citizens of Earth," began, "do not be afraid. What I am about to tell you is the truth. The truth that your governments have hidden from you for 89 years. She paused, letting her words sink in. When the Galactic Council first made contact with humanity, they saw us as primitives. They gave us technology that seemed advanced to us but was actually basic to them. They thought they were being generous. They were actually keeping us weak. Images appeared on screens around the world. Pictures of alien ships, pictures of the technology they had shared. Our leaders understood this from the very beginning, continued. So they made a plan. We would pretend to be grateful. We would pretend to be weak. We would accept their insults and their restrictions, and while they laughed at us, we would prepare. The images changed. Now they showed massive shipyards hidden inside asteroids, weapons factories built in deep caves, research centers disguised as mining operations. For 89 years we have been building. For 89 years we have been improving their technology and creating our own. The fusion reactors they gave us, we turned them into antimatter engines. The plasma weapons they showed us, we created singularity bombs. People around the world stared at their screens in shock. Some began to cry. Some began to cheer. The Galactic Council thinks they are attacking sheep. They are wrong. They are attacking wolves who have been pretending to be sheep, and now the pretending is over. Stepped aside, and another face appeared on the screens. Admiral was 62 years old. His face was hard and he had served in Earth's Space Navy for 40 years, but nobody outside the military had ever seen him. He had been commanding ships that officially did not exist. "People of Earth," the Admiral said, "I am standing on the bridge of the EDS Colossus, flagship of the First Shadow Fleet. Around me are 12,000 warships, ships that the galaxy does not know about, ships that are more powerful than anything the Council has ever built." The broadcast showed images from space, ships appearing out of nowhere as they turned off their cloaking devices, massive carriers, sleek destroyers, weapons platforms the size of small moons. The fleet stretched across space like an army of stars. "This is one fleet," Admiral said. "We have 7. The number appeared on every screen on Earth. 7 fleets, 84,000 warships, more than the Council knew existed. In the city of Seoul, an old woman fell to her knees and wept with relief. In New York, people poured into the streets, screaming with joy. In Tokyo, a young father held his daughter and whispered, "We are going to be okay." Back at Earth Command, General Shin stepped forward to address the military forces directly. He was a big man with gray hair and cold eyes. He had designed every battle plan that would now be used. "Soldiers of Earth," he said, "for 89 years we have played the fool, we accepted their insults, we bowed, we scraped, we let them believe we were weak. That era ends today." In bases around the world and throughout the solar system, soldiers stood at attention. They had trained for this. They had waited for this. Some had grown old waiting. "The enemy thinks they are coming to slaughter us," General Shin continued. "They think this will be easy. They will soon learn the truth. Humanity does not fight like other species. We do not fight for territory. We do not fight for pride. We fight to win. We fight to end wars, and we do not know the meaning of surrender." Lieutenant sat in the intelligence center, surrounded by screens showing alien communications. She was 38 years old, with sharp eyes and quick fingers. For 15 years, she had been listening to the Council's military channels. They were laughing. They were making jokes about how quickly Earth would fall. They were arguing about who would get the best human slaves. They had no idea. "The enemy fleet is assembling," reported. 50,000 ships in the first wave. Commander is leading them personally. Admiral nodded. "Let them come. How long until they arrive?" 5 days. "Good. That gives us time to prepare a proper welcome." On the EDS Sovereign, Captain Minu stood on his bridge, looking at the tactical display. He was only 34, young for a captain, but he had proven himself in 100 simulations and a dozen secret battles against pirates that the public never knew about. His ship was beautiful, 2 kilometers long, with weapons that could crack a planet open. The Council's intelligence said Earth only had patrol boats and cargo ships. They were wrong about that too. "All systems ready, Captain," his first officer reported. "Good," Minu smiled. It was strange, he thought. He had spent his whole life preparing for a war he hoped would never come. Now that it was here, he felt calm, ready. In her laboratory, Dr. Park looked at the weapon that would change everything. It was small, only about the size of a basketball. Inside it was a contained singularity, a tiny black hole that could be fired at enemy ships. The Council used plasma and lasers. They thought those were the best weapons possible. They had no idea what humans could create when they were afraid and angry. "Are the singularity rounds ready?" Admiral asked over the communication channel. 12 million rounds, replied. Enough for every ship in their fleet with plenty left over. "And the phase disruptors?" "Mounted on every capital ship. One shot will make an enemy vessel simply stop existing." Smiled, it was not a nice smile. "You know, Doctor, I almost feel sorry for them." "I do not," said. "Not after everything they have done, not after the way they treated us." Arrived at Earth Command 3 hours after his broadcast from the Grand Chamber. He walked through tunnels filled with soldiers and scientists who stopped to salute or bow. Word had spread about what he had said to the Council. "It is finally time." Those 3 words had changed everything. He found Admiral in the command center, staring at a map of the solar system. Red dots showed the approaching enemy fleet. Blue dots showed Earth's forces. "They still do not know," said. "Their scouts report that Earth has no defenses. Their commanders are celebrating. They think this will be the easiest victory in Council history." "Let them think that," replied. "Pride comes before the fall. That is true for every species in the universe." Turned to look at the diplomat. "Are you ready for what comes next? War is not like politics. People will die, many people." "I know." His face was serious now, no more smiles. "But they gave us no choice. They were going to destroy us no matter what we did. At least this way we have a chance." "More than a chance," said. He pointed at the blue dots on the map. "We are going to win, and then we are going to make sure they never threaten us again." Outside in the darkness of space, 84,000 human warships waited in silence. Their weapons were charged. Their crews were ready. The sheep had become wolves, and the wolves were hungry. Commander stood on the bridge of his flagship, the pride of the Council. It was the largest warship in the galaxy, 5 kilometers long and armed with enough weapons to destroy a small moon. Around him, 50,000 ships flew in perfect formation toward the human solar system. He was in a good mood. "How long until we reach the target?" he asked. 2 days, Commander," his navigation officer replied. Smiled. His species had green skin and 4 arms. They were one of the founding members of the Council, and they had never lost a war. This would be their easiest victory yet. "I have been reading about humans," said his second-in-command, a tall female with silver scales. "They are an interesting species. They live such short lives, yet they fight constantly among themselves." "They are primitives," replied. "They only achieved space travel because we gave them the technology. Without us, they would still be killing each other with metal sticks." The officers on the bridge laughed. It was a common joke in the Council. Humans were considered barely intelligent, useful only as workers and servants. The idea that they could fight back against the galaxy's greatest military force was absurd. Far away, Admiral was looking at the same star map. He could see the red dots of the enemy fleet approaching, 50,000 ships, a massive force by any standard. But was not worried. "Status report," he said. Captain Minu appeared on the communication screen. "First Fleet is in position near Neptune's orbit, all ships cloaked and ready." "Second Fleet?" asked. Another captain replied. In position behind Jupiter, all weapons charged. 3rd through 7th Fleets. Standing by throughout the system. The trap is set, Admiral. Nodded. The enemy was walking into a killing ground, and they did not even know it. General Shin joined him on the command deck. The general had not slept in 3 days, but his eyes were sharp and clear. "I want to go over the doctrine one more time," he said. "The officers know the doctrine," replied. "I want them to know it again." Shin activated a communication channel to every ship in the fleet. His voice reached over 1,000,000 sailors and soldiers spread across the solar system. "Listen carefully," Shin said. "The enemy is coming and they think they know how we will fight. They are wrong. The Council has fought many wars. They always fight the same way. They line up their ships, they fire at each other, and whoever has more ships wins. This is how they have always done it. This is why they think they will beat us." He paused. "We will not fight that way. Humanity has spent 10,000 years perfecting the art of war. We have learned lessons that the galaxy has never imagined. Here is the first lesson: there is no such thing as a fair fight. Fair fights are for fools. We will not be fair. We will be smart. We will be cruel. We will be everywhere and nowhere at the same time." On the EDS Sovereign, Captain Minu listened to the general's words. His crew stood at their stations, faces hard and determined. "Here is the second lesson," Shin continued. "We do not fight for territory or pride. We fight to destroy the enemy's ability to fight. Every battle must end the war faster. Every shot must count. We do not show off. We do not give speeches. We kill and we win and we go home." Lieutenant was still monitoring enemy communications. She shook her head in amazement at what she was hearing. "Commander just sent a message to his officers," she reported to Admiral. "He told them to prepare their best clothes. He wants to look good for the victory celebration." "They still do not know," said. "They have no idea. Their scouts reported that Earth has no military presence beyond the asteroid belt. They think we are hiding on our planet, waiting to be conquered." This was exactly what humanity wanted them to think. For 89 years, Earth had hidden its true strength. Ships were built inside hollowed-out asteroids. Weapons platforms were disguised as mining stations. Everything was cloaked, hidden, invisible. The Council thought they had a complete picture of human capabilities. They had not seen even 1% of the truth. On the Council station, Ambassador could not stop thinking about Smile. She had requested another meeting with High Arbiter, but he had refused to see her. She tried to warn other council members, but they laughed at her concerns. "You worry too much," one ambassador told her. "The humans are nothing. They will be crushed in a day." "But they did not try to run," insisted. "They did not try to negotiate. They accepted the war. Why would they do that if they could not win?" "Because they are stupid and proud, like all young species. They will learn their place soon enough." Was not convinced. She went to her office and began searching through every piece of information she could find about humanity: historical records, cultural studies, intelligence reports. What she found worried her even more. Humans had a long history of war, longer and bloodier than most species in the galaxy. They had fought each other for thousands of years before achieving peace. They had invented weapons of terrible power. They had nearly destroyed their own planet several times. And then suddenly they had stopped. 89 years ago, when they first made contact with the Council, all human wars had ended. All human nations had united. They had become peaceful and quiet almost overnight. Stared at the data. That was not normal. Species did not change that quickly, unless they had found a common enemy to unite against. She tried to send a warning to Commander, but her message was blocked. Military communications during wartime were restricted. She tried to contact again, but he was busy preparing his victory speech. Nobody would listen. Back in the human solar system, something strange was happening. Asteroids that had floated silently for decades began to move. Mining stations shut down their fake operations and revealed hidden weapons. Cargo ships opened their holds and released fighters by the thousands. The solar system was transforming into a fortress. On Mars, defense platforms rose from beneath the red sand. They had been buried there for 40 years, waiting for this moment. Each platform could fire beams powerful enough to cut a battleship in half. On the moons of Jupiter, massive cannons pointed toward the approaching enemy. These were the Singularity Launchers, weapons that fired compressed black holes. The Council had never seen anything like them. In the asteroid belt, human ships uncloaked by the hundreds. These were the fast attack boats, small and deadly, designed to swarm enemy vessels and tear them apart. Dr. Park watched from Earth Command as the entire system came to life. It was beautiful in a terrible way. Everything they had built, everything they had hidden, all of it was finally being revealed. "The enemy will reach Neptune's orbit in 36 hours, Admiral announced. "All fleets prepare for combat." In the silence of space, 84,000 human ships waited. Their crews were quiet, focused, ready. Commander's fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. Standard procedure was to scan the area before proceeding. "Begin scanning," ordered. "I want to know exactly what we are facing." The scanning officer worked his console. His face went pale. "Commander," he said, his voice shaking, I am detecting. "Speak clearly," snapped. "Ships, sir, human ships, thousands of them. No, tens of thousands, sir. I am reading 84,000 vessels and they are all targeting us." His forearms went stiff. That was impossible. Humans did not have that many ships. They could not have that many ships. "Show me," he demanded. The main screen changed to show the space around them. It was filled with blue dots, human ships surrounding them on every side. They had flown right into a trap. "Open a channel," said. "I want to speak to their commander." Admiral's face appeared on the Council flagship screen. He was an older human with a hard face and cold eyes. "Commander," said, "welcome to our solar system. I hope you enjoy your stay. It will be short." "This is impossible," said. "Where did these ships come from?" "From our shipyards. We have been building them for 89 years. Did you really think we would accept slavery without a fight? Did you really think we were that weak?" His mind raced. He still had 50,000 ships. He still had the pride of the Council, the most powerful warship ever built. "Your numbers mean nothing," he said, trying to sound confident. "Your primitive weapons cannot match our technology. Surrender now and I may show mercy." Smiled. It was the same smile that had shone in the Council chamber, the smile of a predator. "Let me show you what our primitive weapons can do," said. "Captain Menu, you may fire when ready." On the EDS Sovereign, Captain Menu gave the order. "Fire." A single shot left the Sovereign. It was small, barely visible against the darkness of space. It flew toward the nearest Council ship, a cruiser called the Swift Strike. When it hit, the cruiser simply stopped existing. One moment it was there. The next moment it was gone. No explosion, no debris, just empty space where a ship had been. Commander stared at his screen. 3,000 crew members had just vanished. What was that?" he whispered. Admiral's smile grew wider. "That was one shot. We have millions. Now, Commander, shall we discuss your surrender?" Commander could not believe what he had just seen. The Swift Strike, a cruiser with 3,000 crew members, had simply vanished. No explosion, no wreckage. It had been erased from existence by a single shot. "All ships battle formation," he shouted. "Do not let them frighten you. We still outnumber their fighting ships." His officers scrambled to obey, but their movements were slower now, touched by fear. Admiral watched from the EDS Colossus. Around him, his officers were calm and focused. They had trained for this moment their entire lives. "The enemy is forming defensive lines," Lieutenant reported. "Standard council formation. They are preparing to fire." "Let them fire first," said. "I want them to see how useless their weapons are." Commander gave the order. 10,000 council ships fired at once. Plasma bolts streaked across space, bright green and deadly. It was the most massive attack the galaxy had ever seen. The human ships did not move. They did not try to dodge. They simply sat there as the plasma storm hit them. Nothing happened. The plasma bolts splashed against human shields like water against rock. The shields glowed briefly, then returned to normal. Not a single human ship was damaged. On the Pride of the Council felt his blood turn cold. Those plasma cannons could destroy asteroids. They could crack open space stations. But against human shields they were nothing. "Increase power," he ordered. "All ships maximum firepower." Again the Council fleet fired. Again the human shields held without trouble. Captain Minu stood on the bridge of the EDS Sovereign, watching the enemy fire uselessly. He felt no joy, only cold determination. "They have emptied their first wave of ammunition," his weapons officer reported. "They are recharging." "Then it is our turn," Minu said. "All ships target the enemy capital ships first. Fire singularity rounds." Across the human fleet, 84,000 ships opened fire together. But these were not normal shots. These were compressed singularity rounds, tiny black holes wrapped in magnetic fields. They moved slower than plasma, but they could not be stopped by any shield. The first rounds hit the Council destroyers. The singularities expanded for just a fraction of a second, then collapsed. In that moment, they pulled everything nearby into nothingness. Ships, crew, weapons, all compressed into a point smaller than a grain of sand. In 60 seconds, 3,000 Council ships ceased to exist. "Pull back," screamed. "All ships retreat." But the human fleet was faster. Admiral had planned for this. The moment the enemy tried to run, the second fleet appeared from behind Jupiter. The third fleet came from Mars. The fourth fleet rose from the asteroid belt. The Council armada was surrounded. "Commander's navigation officer said, "We cannot escape. They have blocked every exit." Looked at his tactical display. Red icons were disappearing by the hundreds. His fleet was being torn apart. "Open a channel to the human commander," he said. "Request a ceasefire for negotiation." Admiral's face appeared on his screen again. "You want to negotiate now, Commander. A few minutes ago, you were talking about making us slaves." "I will accept fair terms," said quickly. "Let my ships retreat and we will never return." "Fair terms?" His voice was flat and cold. "You came here to murder billions of innocent people. You came to destroy our planet and sell our children as servants. And now you want fair terms." "Please," said. He had never said that word before in his life. Was silent for a long moment, then he spoke again. "I will let your survivors retreat, not because you deserve mercy, but because I want them to deliver a message to the Council. Tell them what you saw here today. Tell them what human weapons can do. Tell them that if they send another fleet, we will not stop at defense. We will come for them." Nodded rapidly. "Yes, yes, I will tell them, thank you." "Do not thank me," said. "Thank Dr. Park." She argued that we should show some mercy. I disagreed, but she was right. Dead enemies cannot spread fear. Living ones can. The communication ended. "All ships retreat at maximum speed," ordered. "Do not stop until we reach Council space." The remains of the Council fleet ran. Out of 50,000 ships, only 4,000 escaped. They flew through space as fast as their engines could manage, leaving behind the wreckage of their dead. On the EDS Sovereign, Captain Minu watched them go. The battle had lasted 43 minutes, less than 1 hour to destroy 46,000 enemy ships. "Should we pursue, Captain?" his first officer asked. "No," Minu said. The Admiral wants them to live. They have a message to deliver. Lieutenant was already monitoring Council communications. What she heard made her smile for the first time in days. Commander is broadcasting to the Council, she reported. He is telling them about our weapons. He is telling them we have 84,000 ships. He is crying. Admiral nodded with satisfaction. Good. Let the galaxy hear. Let them all know what happens when you threaten humanity. On the Council station, High Arbiter received the news in his private chambers. He listened to terrified report in silence. His yellow eyes grew wider with each word. 84,000 ships, weapons that erase matter, shields that cannot be broken. This was impossible. Humans were primitives. They were supposed to be weak. Hal whispered, "How did they hide this from us?" Ambassador stood in the doorway. She had finally been allowed to see the High Arbiter now that the truth was clear. "I tried to warn you," she said. "The humans were not afraid because they had no reason to be afraid. They were waiting for us to attack. They wanted us to attack." Why would they want that? Because as long as we started the war, they could claim self-defense. They could destroy our fleet and still maintain moral authority. We walked into their trap. We gave them exactly what they wanted. His hands shook. He had ruled the Council for 200 years. He had never faced a defeat like this. He had never faced an enemy like this. "What do we do now?" he asked. "We wait," said. "They let our ships survive for a reason. They are sending us a message. Either we accept their terms or they will come for us. The Council will never surrender to humans. Then the Council will die." Back at Earth Command, watched the replay of the battle. He saw the Council ships vanishing one by one. He saw the survivors fleeing in terror. He should have felt happy. Humanity had won its first major victory. They had proven they were not weak. But all he felt was tired. Dr. Park sat beside him. "You do not look like a man who just won a war," she said. "Because the war is not won," replied. "This was just the first battle. The Council has 400,000 ships. We destroyed 50,000. They will send more. And we will destroy those too. Maybe, probably, but how many of our people will die? How many families will lose fathers and mothers and children? War is not a game, Doctor. Even when we win, we lose something." Nodded slowly. "I know. I have thought about this for 20 years. Every weapon I designed could kill millions of beings. I told myself it was for defense. I told myself it was to protect humanity. But sometimes, late at night, I wonder if I created monsters." "You created tools," said. "Tools that will keep our people alive. That is not monstrous. That is necessary." "Is it? We could have tried harder to negotiate. We could have given them what they wanted." "What they wanted was our freedom, our dignity, our future," shook his head. "Some things cannot be traded. Some things are worth fighting for." Admiral entered the room. His face was grim despite the victory. "The enemy survivors have reached Council space," he reported. "The message is spreading. Every species in the galaxy now knows what happened here." "How are they reacting?" asked. "Panic. Several minor species have already withdrawn from the Council. The Dominion is demanding a counterattack. High Arbiter is calling for calm, but nobody is listening." "And Commander?" "He has been removed from command. They are calling him a coward for retreating," smiled without humor. "He saved 4,000 ships and 40,000 lives, and they call him a coward. The Council does not deserve officers like him." Stood and walked to the window. Outside, he could see the mountains of the Himalayas stretching toward the sky. "We have shown them our teeth," he said. "Now we must show them our mercy. When the time comes, we will offer peace, fair peace, real peace. And if they refuse?" Turned back to face the Admiral. His eyes were hard. "Then we will teach them that humanity does not start wars, but we always finish them." The message spread across the galaxy like fire. Every planet, every station, every ship receives broadcast. His face appeared on billions of screens, calm and serious. "For 89 years you treated us as lesser beings," said. "You exploited us, you mocked us, you planned our extinction, we accepted your insults, we bowed our heads, we pretended to be weak. That time is over." He paused to let his words sink in. "We are not here to conquer you. We are not here to enslave you. We are not here to do to you what you plan to do to us. We are here to teach you a lesson that you will never forget. The lesson is simple. Do not threaten humanity." The broadcast ended. Silence followed. Then the 7 fleets began to move. Admiral had designed the campaign perfectly. Each fleet had a target. Each target was a military stronghold. Each attack would happen at exactly the same time. "All fleets synchronize clocks," ordered. "Attack begins in exactly 30 minutes." Captain Menu stood on the bridge of the EDS Sovereign, watching the countdown. His target was Station, the largest military base in the Council's eastern sector. It had 500 ships guarding it. His fleet had 14,000. "Approaching target," his navigation officer reported. "Enemy ships are moving to intercept." "They are brave," Menu said. "I respect that, but bravery cannot stop singularity rounds." The battle lasted 12 minutes. When it was over, Station was gone. The 500 ships were dust, and the First Fleet moved on to its next target. Across the galaxy, the same story repeated 6 more times. Human fleets appeared from nowhere, destroyed their targets, and vanished before anyone could respond. In a single day, the Council lost 180,000 ships, more than they had lost in the last 300 years combined. Warlord refused to accept this. Was the leader of the Dominion, the most feared warriors in the galaxy. His people had conquered dozens of species. They had never retreated from any enemy. "We will destroy these humans," announced to his commanders. "Gather every ship we have. We attack their home system. We burn their planet to ash." "Sir," one commander said carefully, "the humans destroyed our allies with ease. Perhaps we should wait and observe." His massive fist crashed down on the table, cracking it in half. "The do not wait, the do not observe, the fight and win, prepare the fleet." 2 days later, the entire war fleet jumped into Earth's solar system. 30,000 ships, each one crewed by the fiercest warriors the galaxy had ever known. They found the human Third Fleet waiting for them. Lieutenant had predicted this attack. She had been reading communications for months. She knew would never accept defeat without fighting. "They are here," she reported to Admiral, "exactly where we expected them." Nodded. "Admiral, your fleet has the honor. Destroy them." Admiral was 60 years old, with white hair and a face that had seen countless battles. She commanded the Third Fleet from her flagship, the EDS Vengeance. "Fleet," she broadcast, "this is Admiral of the United Earth Navy. You have entered our space. Surrender now and you will be allowed to return home. Fight and you will die. This is your only warning." Warlord's face appeared on her screen. He was huge, covered in thick gray scales with teeth like knives. "I do not surrender to prey," he snarled. "Today I will hang your head on my wall." "So be it," said calmly. "All ships fire at will." The battle that followed would be remembered for centuries. They fought with incredible ferocity. They charged directly at human ships, trying to get close enough to board. They fired every weapon they had, screaming war cries across the communication channels. It did not matter. Human singularity rounds tore through their ships. Human phase disruptors erased entire squadrons. The shields, famous for their strength, broke like glass. Warlord watched his fleet dying around him. For the first time in his long life, he felt fear. "Impossible," he whispered. We cannot be defeated." "You were the," Admiral corrected him. "Now you are just another lesson for the galaxy." His flagship exploded. With him died the legend of the Dominion. Their fleet was destroyed to the last ship. No survivors, no mercy. When news of the destruction reached the Council, panic turned to chaos. Species that had been loyal began withdrawing from the Alliance. Ambassadors fled the station, afraid of being associated with a losing side. High Arbiter called an emergency meeting. Only half the Council showed up. "We must unite," insisted. "If we stand together, we can still defeat the humans." "With what ships?" one ambassador shouted. "We have lost over 200,000 vessels in a week. The humans have lost none." "Their technology is superior," another ambassador admitted. "We cannot match their weapons or their shields. Fighting them is suicide." Ambassador stood and addressed the chamber. "There may be another way. The humans have not demanded our surrender. They have not tried to conquer our worlds. They are punishing our military but leaving our civilians alone." "What are you suggesting?" demanded. "I am suggesting that they want peace, real peace. They are showing us that they can destroy us, but they are choosing not to. Perhaps if we approach them honestly, we can end this war." Never slammed his fist down. "I will not negotiate with primitives. I would rather die." "That can be arranged," said quietly. Stared at her in shock. No one had ever spoken to him like that. "You started this war," continued. "You ignored every warning. You led us to disaster. If you will not negotiate, then perhaps you should step aside for someone who will." For a long moment, silence filled the chamber. Then, one by one, the remaining ambassadors began to nod. High Arbiter, an ancient senator, said, "I move for a vote of no confidence. All in favor." The vote was unanimous. Back at Earth Command, Dr. Park was arguing with Admiral and General Shin. "We have proven our point," she said. "The Council is broken. Their military is destroyed. We do not need to kill more." "They would have killed all of us," Shin replied. "Every man, woman, and child on Earth. They do not deserve mercy." "That is exactly what they said about us. If we become what they are, what have we really won?" Listened to the argument in silence. Finally, he spoke. "Dr. Park is right. We wanted them to fear us. They fear us. We wanted them to respect us. They respect us. If we continue killing, we will not be defenders anymore. We will be conquerors, and conquerors always fall eventually." Admiral sighed. "So what do you suggest?" "We offer peace, fair peace. A new council where every species has an equal voice, where no one can be enslaved or exploited. If they accept, we win without becoming monsters. If they refuse, then we continue. And if they accept and then attack us again?" Smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Then we will be less merciful the second time. They will know that. It will keep them honest." 1 week later, a single human ship approached the Council station. It carried no weapons. Its shields were down. On board was Alone. Ambassador met him at the docking bay. "You are either very brave or very foolish," she said. "Maybe both," replied. "I have come to discuss surrender." "Whose surrender?" "The Council's." Looked around at the massive station. "We could destroy this place in minutes. We could hunt down every member of the old Council and execute them, but we are not doing that. Do you know why?" "Because you are better than us." "No, because we want to be better than what you made us become. War brings out the worst in every species. We have seen our worst. Now we want to see our best." Nodded slowly. "Then let us talk about peace." They walked together toward the Council chamber. For the first time in 89 years, humans and aliens would speak as equals. The war was not over yet, but the end was finally in sight.